Floyd! Floyd! I'll knock you out! He's sick, look at him.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. A continuation to a story that I've been talking about in my last two videos. Claressa Shields, in response to everything that's been going on between her and Derek Santos and Artur's Amanov, her getting knocked down in sparring, and footage of that circulating as a result of Artur's having uploaded it. Claressa said anybody in network posts that sparring video from 5 years ago is getting blocked and a defamation of character letter because I did not get knocked out. I got knocked down by a bitch boy with no padding in his gloves.
Somebody ought to tell Claressa Shields that's not how a defamation of character suit works, and simply uploading that video is not a defamation of character.
Can't tell you how many people that have uploaded that video, and a lot of people have uploaded that video. I can't tell you how many of them claim that Claressa Shields was knocked out as a result of that punch landing, but I can tell you that Artur's didn't claim that. I can tell you that on his own post, on his own social media, he's not saying that she got knocked out.
Even if he did, I don't know that that would give her grounds for a defamation suit. To prove defamation.
For a defamation suit in a court of law, to prove defamation, a plaintiff must show 4 things. A false statement purporting to be fact. Publication or communication of that statement to a third person. Fault amounting to at least negligence and damages, or some harm caused to the reputation of the person or entity who is the subject of said statement.
Defamation can be hard to prove in a court of law based on this. I mean, it's not a false statement that she got knocked down in sparring. What could be a false statement is that Artur's took the padding out of the gloves. According to Derek Santos, he didn't.
If there is anything being said publicly about someone in association with all of this, it's what she's saying about Artur's that might constitute defamation because she's defaming him. She's saying he took the padding out of the gloves. Derek Santos, who was there, he says, no, he didn't, and the gloves were examined and given to her trainer. But she is, in essence, defaming him.
So she's the one that has to prove it. She would have to prove that he took the padding out of the gloves, and after 5 years, I think that might be a little bit hard to do, especially when the guys on the other side are saying the exact opposite.
Claressa would also have to prove that as a result of this, she suffered some kind of damage or harm to her reputation when she's the one harming his, claiming that he cheated.
He posted the video of him knocking her down in sparring, but she said getting knocked down in sparring doesn't bother her.
You think I got a problem with getting dropped? It's boxing. It happens. I don't give a about being dropped.
So how would that constitute defamation? Behind the scenes, what I heard is that it's Artur's side of it, or just that side of it, that might pursue a defamation suit because Claressa is publicly defaming them. And all of this stuff she's saying, it sounds like a counter.
I heard it yesterday that guy's side of it might pursue a defamation suit, and all of this from Claressa reads like a response, a counter, if you will.
My thoughts.
Claressa doesn't know what the fuck a defamation suit is. She doesn't have grounds to sue for defamation, but the other guy, he might have some legal precedence. The thing is that court proceedings aren't cheap. How far do you want to go with this?
Artur's, if he were to pursue a defamation suit, that can get expensive, and to get what back from Claressa Shields? That's saying that even if there is some legal precedence for Artur to pursue it, it's really not worth it. And it's Claressa making a mountain out of a molehill, you understand. Somebody getting dropped in sparring, a guy, a girl. It's not a big deal. It happens all the time. It happens more often than you think. And if this is having a snowball effect, it's because of her.
And the accusations that she's making, that's what's drawing all this attention to this story. She is.
5 years go by. Nobody says a peep. Nobody says a word about this. And Claressa comes out making this accusation, making the claim that he took the padding out of the gloves, and that's why he knocked her down. So he responded by posting the video, but she's the one that got the ball rolling.
She did.
Not him.
She did.
She's all about her ego. And as it pertains to Claressa, I don't know if it's that she's egotistical or insecure.
That she's so full of herself she thinks a guy has to cheat to knock her down, or that she's so insecure she's losing it now that this footage is out. I don't know which is which, but her head is a bag of cats.
She always got a fucking problem with somebody. And no, you can't just chalk it up to her being a fiery fighter, a boxer, when I don't see any of the other female boxers always being at odds with everything and everyone the way that she is. Really, any boxer, male or female. This broad's always got a problem. She's always got a problem with somebody.
The fuck's her problem?
Like I said, I don't know if it's that she's so egotistical, she thinks a full-grown man has to cheat to knock her down, or that she's so insecure, she's making a mountain out of a molehill. She's the one losing her mind about all of this.
I don't give a about being dropped.
She said she's not bothered by it. She's not bothered by being knocked down, so she can turn around the next day and threaten to sue people for talking about it.
She's embarrassed.
She's embarrassed because she got knocked down, though in a very general sense. Boxer getting knocked down, a male boxer, a female boxer getting knocked down, that's nothing to be embarrassed about. If she's embarrassed, it's because she's always running her mouth. She's always shooting off at the mouth. Talks too fucking much.
You watch the video, it looks like she was shooting off at the mouth right before he dropped her.
So for things to have happened in that sequence, she was embarrassed, and this is her emotional response. It's always something with this broad.
She ain't got grounds to sue nobody for defamation.
And just in keeping with the theme of glove tempering, all things glove tempering, Wilder stands firm on cheating claims. I know what Tyson Fury did. I have proof of a lot of things.
And yet he hasn't come out with any of it after all this time.
It isn't so much what I think Fury did, it's what I know he did. But God said, victory is not yours, it's his. So I walk on that path. What I think has helped me a lot with life, and what has made me happier, because I have proof of a lot of things Fury did. You understand me? But that's neither here nor there. What has helped me on the journey of life is ayahuasca, Wilder said. Ayahuasca has been a beautiful thing. I advise anyone to explore those options of taking ayahuasca. It has definitely released something in me. A lot of people say that I'm more sensitive to things and happier, and I feel that way ever since leaving ayahuasca. I feel so much happier and a release of things. It's a beautiful thing. I appreciate these smallest things in life. I mean, he says that he's happier, he says this.
But he's still saying and doing all the same things he was doing before he went on ayahuasca, that spiritual journey.
And what, pray tell, is ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is a plant-based psychedelic. Psychedelics affect all the senses, altering a person's thinking, sense of time, and emotions. They can cause a person to hallucinate, seeing or hearing things that do not exist or are distorted.
In other words, he's on drugs.
Pretty much.
Wilder continued, I appreciate the smallest things in life. Not saying I didn't before, but I do even more on a wider scale. I'm happier and smiling more, and a lot of people get skeptical about ayahuasca because of certain things, and they get frightful. But I always tell people, you must overcome your fears, because your fears can hold you back from reaching the next level.
I remember, after the second fight, and Wilder said what he said, all the accusations about glove tempering, after the second fight, right before the third, Wilder checked the gloves.
Spoke to 78 Sports right here on YouTube, and he said, I'm very happy with what's going on with the gloves. Since they want to have little to no padding, we're going to have the same. May the best man win. That was after the second fight, going into the third. Right before they went into the third fight. And, you know, the same thing happened in the third fight that happened in the second. You still got knocked out. So if you're saying that the reason you got knocked out in the second fight was because he was cheating, then what happened in the third?
Because you went the extra mile. You checked the gloves, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and you still got knocked out. Hell, you got knocked out twice in the third fight than you did in the second. In the second fight, they pulled you out. In the third, he put you down.
Immediately after the fight, Wilder was quoted as saying, I did my best, but it wasn't good enough tonight. I'm not sure what happened. I knew that he didn't come in at 277 pounds to be a ballet dancer. He came to lean on me to try to rough me up, and he succeeded.
Seemingly, he had made peace with all of it. That was the point of the third fight.
While Deontay Wilder is still making these kinds of accusations close to 2 years after their third and final affair, their third and final chapter in their saga, Deontay Wilder's still singing the same tune, that he thinks the guy cheated, but that was the point of the third fight. If you felt the guy cheated in the second fight, you crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's in the third fight to make sure that don't happen again.
But it did. Your explanation in the second fight was, this guy only knocked you out because he was cheating, then why did you get knocked out again in the third?
And I want you to understand something, that I'm no fan of Tyson Fury. This is not about defending Tyson Fury. It's that Wilder's baseless accusations read like something from a Saturday morning cartoon.
And he is still making these same accusations well over a year later, close to 2. He's still making them here today, saying that this is the happiest I've ever been.
But is he happy? He's still saying the same stuff he was saying before. He's still accusing Tyson Fury of cheating. He's still trashing Anthony Joshua. He said, a lot of people assumed I was depressed because they weren't hearing from me. But if you go back in the history of time, when I'm out of boxing, I'm MIA. I leave it alone. I go do other things. I'm so talented in so many different ways that I don't spend all my time boxing. I can't. I need multiple incomes. I have 8 children. So I must continue to provide service to my greatness. The start of my music career, which is going very well. And I'm a businessman. I own many properties. I'm building plazas and hotel condominiums. I have employees. I have a lot going on. That doesn't consist of boxing all the time. We can't box all the time.
More power to him if he doesn't have to. If he has other business endeavors that don't involve boxing and he's doing well.
Though as it pertains to all of these cheating allegations that he is still making close to 2 years after his final fight with Tyson Fury, and what that communicates is that you haven't settled your soul on that. You're not settled. You say you're happy, but you're not. Not if you're still talking about it.
It's not that I think that Tyson Fury is this stand-up guy that needs to be defended. No, I think he's an asshole.
But I also think that Wilder's been making excuses since their initial meeting, since their first fight. In the first fight, he accused Jack Reese of giving Tyson Fury a long count. He gave him the benefit of the doubt. So they swapped out Jack Reese and used Kenny Bayless in the second fight. Then he accused Kenny Bayless of being a crab-in-the-bucket referee, and Mark Breland spiked his water, and the costume was too heavy, and Tyson Fury cheated.
He blamed everyone and everything. It was everything but the obvious. That Tyson Fury beat you up. No, he didn't cheat because he doesn't have to cheat for you. You underestimated him. He never would have got a title shot if you didn't give him one voluntarily. And that's what's still eating Deontay Wilder, that he did this to himself.
Tyson Fury wasn't as mandatory. He never had to fight him. He didn't have to fight him in the first fight. He didn't have to fight him in the second. Wilder chose that for himself on the predication that Tyson Fury was a quote-unquote bent house, an obese boxer battling depression and drug abuse. That's when he chose to fight this guy, to bring him out of retirement for the first fight.
And he had a choice. He said it himself. He could have boxed AJ, but he pursued a second fight with Fury.
So whatever happened, no matter how you slice it, whatever happened only happened because you allowed it. You brought it on yourself.
Even if you think he cheated, let's say he did, he only got the opportunity to do it because you gave it to him.
Even if I were to go with your version of the story, you're still the one that brought this on yourself. You did all this to yourself. As it pertains to Wilder and what the future might hold for him, Alexander Krassyuk, Usyk's promoter, says a fight with Deontay Wilder is something worth doing.
They're both in bed with the Saudis. The Saudis are financially backing their upcoming fights. We know what Usyk's doing. He's fighting Fury, and we know what Wilder's doing. He's fighting Joseph Parker later on this month.
Alexander Krassyuk views Parker as a very dangerous opponent for someone like Wilder. It's not the right time to talk about it. I can tell you Deontay Wilder is in the top 3 heavyweights in the world, and of course, a fight with him is something worth doing, and doing is worth seeing for me. As a boxing fan, it would be a great fight for sure. So, let's see. But from the point of view of Usyk's career, it depends on how the fight with Tyson goes. The time, length of the rematch, and the second thing. Let's not forget the fights with Wilder and Anthony Joshua that they have on December 23rd, Krassyuk told Betway.
Wilder's top 3 in a division.
Well, Alex thinks so, but I don't. I feel like number 1 and number 2 are split between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. I'd sooner put Anthony Joshua at number 3 before Deontay Wilder on the predication that he's fought more champions at heavyweight than Wilder, unified more titles at heavyweight than Wilder, fought more ranked divisional top 10 fighters than Wilder.
Divisional. not alphabet, because sometimes the alphabet's top 10s don't even make sense.
As it pertains to Wilder's upcoming fight with Joseph Parker, Alex says Joseph is a technician and can do severe damage to a guy who is not strong in boxing technique but has power in the punch. We've seen many times that it is Wilder's weakness. He's a puncher, not a boxer. For Joshua, this is also a big challenge, as Otto Wallin is one of the most underrated fighters in the division. He is an awkward southpaw, and Joshua is coming on back-to-back losses, and his comeback fights didn't go too well. They are both great fights. If you're imagining a scenario where Wilder ends up opposite the ring Alexander Usyk in the near future, it's got to be a scenario where Anthony loses to Otto Wallin and Usyk beats Tyson Fury and Fury doesn't pursue the rematch.
It's convoluted because we know what the plan is. The plan is, if Wilder beats Parker and AJ beats Wallin, they want to put them in the ring with each other. So in order to alter that plan, AJ's gotta lose.
And Fury's gotta lose. Fury's gotta lose the Usyk fight, but not just lose the fight, forego the rematch. Then that frees both guys up to have a fight with each other at some point in the third or fourth quarter of next year, late in the year. Then you could possibly do it.
You see, there's a lot of moving parts, and Alexander highlights what I've been highlighting here on the channel, that Joseph Parker, he can box. He's got more technical ability than Deontay Wilder.
More tactical ability. Mid-range to inside, he can get off some very short punches, defensible punches. Mid-range to inside, he's the more balanced fighter of the two. He just has to get there. Getting there, that's the hard part. That would require him to slip past the jab and don't get caught with the right hand.
Saving grace for him is that he's 6 or 7 years younger than Deontay, and he's coming off of 3 consecutive victories. He's fought in the last 12 months. Wilder hasn't.
He hasn't fought, and it could be catastrophic. Not just for what is supposed to be the Anthony Joshua fight next year, catastrophic for Wilder's legacy if he loses to Joe. If he loses to Joseph Parker, because AJ beat Joseph Parker, Dillian White beat Joseph Parker, and some would argue that so did Derek Chisora in their first meeting. If nothing else, we know that Joe Joyce beat Joseph Parker. He was the first to knock him out. So if Wilder can't get the job done where they did,
his resume's already pretty thin. You often hear it said that Joseph Parker has ability and some great tools, but he lacks killer instincts. And if you're supposed to be the Bronze Bomber, one of the biggest punchers of all time...
You know what the expectation is? The perception going in, at least amongst the fans, is that Wilder should win. But I don't actually know how the odds makers have it. The bookies.
Wilder loses this fight, that effectively kills the Joshua fight, but more than that, it would be a stain on Wilder's legacy.
I mean, were you really ever any good? Were you really ever what they said you were? If you can't get past today's Joseph Parker, who's been beaten by AJ, beaten by White, knocked out by Joe Joyce...
It's a stain on his legacy if he loses to Joe, but if Joe loses to Wilder, it's no sweat off his back because they don't talk about Joe the way they talk about Wilder.
Yeah, big plans in Saudi do involve Wilder, so Wilder himself has to hold up his end of the bargain.